the year 2021 has been quite challenging with regards to health. In 2021, we faced two major waves of the COVID-19 pandemic. Towards the end of 2021, we started to experience the fourth wave. By the time we got into December 2021, we were already established in the fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. So you can imagine 3 different times where we had a very high number of cases of COVID, with all the things that go with it, people feeling ill, whether they were ill and could stay at home and recover, or they needed to be hospitalized. It put a lot of pressure on the health of individuals, families, communities, and the general population at large. Also put a lot of pressure on the healthcare system, because the healthcare workers needed to learn how to look after these persons who were ill, and needed to also know what to do to keep themselves safe and protected while they were looking after people who are ill. As though COVID was not enough, in 2021 we also had issues with other infectious diseases, including Lassa fever, including some cases of monkeypox or suspected monkeypox. And so this also still made it really tough for the healthcare system. I do not think that we've been so challenged in a while. 2020 and 2021 have actually been very, very challenging for health generally. And I won't fail to mention the fact that while all this is happening, the things that we've always been battling and struggling with health-wise, still there. Non-communicable diseases like hypertension and diabetes did not go away, did not stop. Cancers did not stop because of all these other diseases like COVID and Lassa fever. We still have cases, we still have people who have challenges controlling their blood pressure, their blood sugar, and falling very ill because of that. And so really it has been quite a concerning 2021 relating to the health of our people. So the thing is that coronavirus is actually a typical flu virus. And flu viruses have a very interesting way they behave. They change their pattern very quickly. It's called mutation. And that's where we have all this, what we call variants of the virus. What has happened is that the first and second doses that many people have received, not as many as should have, but a good number of people have received the first and second doses of the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine confers some level, quite a high level of protection in 3 different categories. 1, it confers some level of protection against getting infected. It's not 100%. 2, it confers very high level of being able to transmit from one person to the other. There's some protection against that. And finally, and I think this is most important, it confers a very high level of protection against severe illness and death from COVID-19. Now, I'm using the words very high level, and I'm specifically saying it's not 100% to show that there will still be people, and there have been people who still get infected even after they've taken 2 doses of the COVID-19. But more often than not, they are likely to have mild disease, mild case of the infection. It will just give them like a common cold or a flu, or like malaria that doesn't really want to go until a few days time and all of that, and they get better. It's interesting that the ability to transmit the virus to somebody else is also affected positively by the vaccine. They are not able to effectively transmit the virus to somebody else. And most importantly, the number of persons who are in the hospital with very severe illness started to drop. In fact, in the 3rd wave, which occurred between July to sometime in September, what we were seeing, for those of us who were involved in taking care of people with COVID, what we were seeing is the people who were not vaccinated that were most likely to be admitted with severe illness. While those who were vaccinated, even though they were testing positive, they could be managed at home as mild cases of the illness. So the point is that vaccination really, really helped us, and it was very useful for us. The concerns as to whether, as this virus is changing and mutating, whether the vaccine will still be effective against the new versions of the virus is still yet to be seen. And I believe that is why right now we're already beginning to talk about booster doses. Anybody who has received a second dose at least 6 months ago is eligible for a third dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and we've already started talking about that. And it's not strange because in the temperate countries, US and UK and so on and so forth, there's this flu season that goes and comes, and every year when they have a flu season, people are encouraged to go take a flu shot. That's like a booster dose of the vaccine, and we may actually be getting to that point where we will have to live with booster doses every 6 months or every year or something like that. But while saying all of that, really it's also extremely important to stress the non-pharmaceutical prevention methods. Wearing a face mask. So whether you are vaccinated or not, you please need to wear a face mask. Wear a face mask when you are in a crowded place. Wear a face mask if you are indoors and you have a large number of people with you. If you're by yourself or you're working on the road and there's plenty of air, you may not need to wear a mask. But once you get into a place where there are people, where you have interactions and it's a closed environment, please wear a mask, because the mask protects the virus from being released into the environment and somebody else from picking it up and inhaling, and so on and so forth. Also, hand hygiene is also very critical. Washing your hands frequently or using a hand sanitizer often helps to ensure that the virus doesn't get on your hands. And of course, you know that our hands go to our faces very often. So these two, and of course, avoiding very crowded places. This festive period, we need to be very careful where we go and what we do. There's a tendency to want to have parties, to want to gather with family and friends. But in this past 2 weeks, so many people have been falling ill. You do not know who is ill or who may have been ill recently beside you, who is still transmitting the virus. So as much as possible, let's stay away from crowded indoor spaces. Anything you want to do should be outdoor, with plenty of sunshine, plenty of air, plenty of space, and keep it at a barest minimum. You do not need to attend every party. You do not need to attend every gathering, especially if it is indoors. I think this way, if you receive 2 doses of the vaccine, you wear your mask, you wash your hands often or sanitize your hands often, and you're careful where you go, the likelihood of you getting infected with COVID and being the person who would transmit to somebody else reduces significantly. The protection against COVID still works for many other viral illnesses that seem to be on the increase during the Harmattan season, which is wearing a face mask and hand washing and hand hygiene. The other thing is that people who are especially susceptible to cough, cold, catarrh because of the environment, the dust and all of that, she probably would like to limit where they're going to. But basically, if you wear a mask, even suits that we are suffering in the States right now, and the suit menace has been really terrible. Once we always had it with the rains and all of that, but once the Harmattans kicked in, it made it worse. So everywhere you go, everywhere is black. Wearing a mask helps, and probably is the only sensible, reasonable thing we can do right now while we're still calling on suits. People who do activities that produce suit, please put a stop to it, because we are endangering our health for now and for the future, and everybody's health, including yours. But wearing a mask and washing hands very often and being careful where you go to is basically the thing that we all need to do. I do not know if any of us having children have not taken our children for vaccination. It's rare to see. Most people educated and enlightened, even people who are not educated or enlightened, know that vaccines help children to prevent illnesses. There are vaccines for adults as well, and COVID-19 vaccine is one of those vaccines. I really want to encourage you to get vaccinated because it is useful. It's useful for all the reasons we've already stated, to prevent severe illness, especially if you are elderly or if you have hypertension, diabetes. Critical for you to get vaccinated. If you're a healthcare worker, it is critical for you to get vaccinated. If you are the kind of person whose job puts you in contact with a lot of people, it's critical for you to get vaccinated. And then generally everybody should get vaccinated, because the more we are who are vaccinated, the less likely it is the virus will be able to jump from one person to the other. By the time we have a large number of people, up to 70 to 80% of our population vaccinated, the virus will not have anybody that it can go and stay and multiply and move to another person from. And so that principle really, you need to do that vaccination, not just to protect yourself, protect your family and your loved ones and everybody in general. So I'm really encouraging everyone who have not yet gotten their vaccine. Vaccines are available free of charge in most of the healthcare facilities in the state and across the country. Please get your vaccine. You can get it today, you can get it tomorrow. It's very, very important. We would really hope that we will start to see the end of COVID-19 and come to the place where we have conquered it and controlled it, and it is no longer dominating our thoughts, our minds, our actions, and our behavior. But we all need to work together for that to happen. And I really wish that we have better health outcomes